Well, when I was perusing the new super drop information for Fallout, I was like, I'm not super excited about this, but then I noticed something inside the article from Wizards of the Coast. This right here. You'll find the non-foil edition of this drop at WPN game stores at a later date, and for the first time ever, it will also be on Amazon. We gotta talk. Hey ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Nerdy Attorney. I appreciate you stopping by. I feel like we need to discuss this. The idea that for the first time ever, we're going to have Secret Lair drops released on Amazon has me mixed. And before we dive in, I have a lot to talk about today, so I did put chapters below. Feel free to click on the topics that interest you. We're gonna go through many things today, including the ridiculous $140 price tag for the single card of Jaws from the Secret Lair drop and $180 plus for the full Secret Lair, with Ghost of Tsushima showing similar values for their singles and full sets, the impact of the partnership with Secret Lair and Amazon and WotC altogether and how that might negatively impact local game stores, and then finally the dichotomy of the two sides of what people perceive to be the same coin of playing Magic the Gathering or investing in Magic the Gathering. So feel free to click around if you don't have time for the full video and let me know in the comments below what you think, because I want to have a discussion today about these topics. And hey, if you like my channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do everything you can to let the algorithm know that you like this content and you want to see more. I know in the releases for Secret Lairs, we've been going through this process of unavailability, scarcity, and FOMO, which has led to some of the highest prices I've seen out the gate for Secret Lair drops, including Jaws, the Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and others. The secondary market just goes out of control incredibly fast with these new releases, giving even more hype and FOMO for future releases. It becomes this vicious cycle that is very hard to negate when you go, look, you could buy this one card from a Secret Lair that pays for double the Secret Lair if you were just there, if you queued up with multiple computers, got in the pre-queue, learn how the back end works, and get yourself that sweet, sweet Secret Lair. But now, those Secret Lairs are going to be available on Amazon as well at a later date. You got to wonder how fast they're going to sell out, what that looks like, and what the implications are moving forward. This is a great example. Let's talk about Jaws Relentless Predator. Rainbow foil, $140. The non-foil is at $120. This is a red creature that probably should have been blue, but I've already talked about that in my other video about why they chose blood tokens in the red. It kind of makes sense. But when this first came out, the card dropped to about as low as $47, which is about what you pay for the Secret Lair itself in foil, maybe a little bit less just to get this one card, which is where sometimes the most valuable cards find themselves, at half to 3/4 the value of the Secret Lair itself, but not the full value. Well, it quickly busted through that purchasing barrier up to $87 around Christmas time when people are purchasing presents for others and maybe buying a few things for themselves. And then here we are today at $140 near mint foil. And guess what? It's selling. This is crazy. Just on the 20th, $144.99, $127, $133, $130, $140, and relatively frequent purchases. So the secondary market and this hype is being reaffirmed again and again. What, Jaws is just one example? Well then let's check out Ghost of Tsushima. This entire Secret Lair is $188 to try and buy when it was again released just in November for $49.99. This is nearly quadrupled in value. You wonder why people scalp these things, because look at this kind of secondary price movement. It's insane. Now, did we know for a certainty it was going to get back up to this price? No way. There definitely is still some risk involved here, but this kind of rapid growth creates that FOMO, that feeling of, if I don't get this now at the authentic release on Secret Lair's website, I'm not going to be able to get it because it's going to be too expensive, too fast. Same thing happened with Kratos. This is kind of what we're used to seeing with cards of unique mechanics. Deadpool did a similar thing here, $38.71 for the Secret Lair of Kratos. This is not in the foil here, but still, that's basically the cost of the Secret Lair itself. $39.99 is what this sold for. The price dropped way down to $40 and it's kind of teetered around here, as it hasn't seen that much play in other formats besides Commander, although it is a very cool card. As you can see though, with this lower price point, it is selling rather frequently. Not sure what happened there at $66 for this card, but this kind of price action further affirms the reason why people feel FOMO. I need to get it now or it's gonna be too expensive to get it later, and maybe I'll get one card from the 4 to 5 card drop set for the same price as the drop itself, and now I've missed out on the opportunity for cool reprints that are thematic with this card. Say I wanted to build this as a commander or play it in the 99 and have more Kratos stuff. Kind of sad to miss that, and that sort of feeling inspires FOMO. Previously, Secret Lairs, if we want to talk about Secret Lairs that got to this kind of value, the Sol Ring Galaxy foil, $14.94. I bought the Secret Lair for I think $39.99, $49.99 back when it came out, and it's just been going nowhere but up. But this has happened slowly over time. This was the Final Fantasy bubble that is yet to pop for some other products. This is clearly one of them, and this one is selling about as frequently as Jaws. you can see there's that kind of 1 to 2 per day purchasing power for these upper level, you missed it price points for specific cards that have a level of desirability like this amazing Galaxy foil. The Secret Lair itself, because keep in mind, had Arcane Signet, Lightning Greaves, Thought Vessel, Command Tower, staples in the most popular format of Magic, $329 for something that initially sold for around $40. That is unbelievable. That is why increasing distribution can be seen as a good thing by having Amazon be a part of it. I'm concerned about what this is going to do to LGSs and the fact that there's no indication that the release cycle is going to change, that queue that we wait on is going to be any different for Fallout. However, there is one additional thing that we need to discuss this in the context of. If you go to the Secret Lair website, Fallout coming soon, get notified, hurrah, hurrah, really excited. They still have a glut of products that did not sell out, including ones from the PlayStation Super Drop. Unique mechanic cards, this God of War, unique mechanics, Kratos and Atreus. 2 new cards, as well as Freya with awesome art and a reprint, and then also a Mimir reprint as well. But again, this is still available. Non-foil, $39.99, foil, $49.99. It's there for the taking if you want it. It's plentiful, and therefore the price has not gone up in the same way the other drops have. This is true for Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is one of those sets where even in my review, I love Avatar, and I still felt like the Secret Lair was lackluster. The value wasn't quite there to justify the new art treatments, and frankly, I felt like I found better cards inside the Avatar Collector's Bundle for Soul Ring and the like, and also the set itself, where this felt a little superfluous and I didn't want it. So I skipped, and it seems many others made that choice as well. You go down here and they even have the ones that are low stock. Quick, buy now before it runs out. Let's inspire a little bit more FOMO. Guess what? And it still hasn't moved. Uncharted, Tomb Raider, Furby, all still available. And honestly, this Furby, the one with the the Furbies that have the creepy combinations, I actually think was a hilarious way to integrate a completely unrelated IP, play off that juxtaposition, make them terrifying. It's actually one of my more liked Secret Lairs in a little while. I can't believe I'm even saying that combination of words. Let's set that aside. The really cool art, really great cards here. You have Wilhelt, the Rock Cleaver, being reprinted with really cool art. That one is still waiting to be sold. Dreaming Darkly still waiting to be sold. All these Spider-Men still waiting to be sold. So there is something to be said about some Secret Lairs receiving this incredible price hike because of the creativity of the new mechanics. Look, Abby has a new mechanic card, no one cares. Nathan Drake, new mechanic card, no one cares, still available. So only some of them hit into the zeitgeist, which in a way makes the FOMO that more palpable, because it's only certain ones that are elevated to this new price status that make people go, oh my God, which one am I gonna miss? I better just buy them all. Really dangerous, not a good strategy, but some people try it. And now, how does Amazon working with Secret Lair affect this price relationship? Well, they may increase production of the new Secret Lair coming out in order to have availability to let Amazon sell thousands of them upon release. Amazon's distribution doesn't have a lobby, doesn't make you wait in line, has some of the biggest servers probably of any industrial online seller, so they likely will not crash the site when these come up, but who knows? I'd be interested to see. I don't think the demand is going to be high enough for this, although this show is very popular. I've missed it. I love Walter Goggins. I'd watch it just to watch him as the gunslinger, but I haven't had time, haven't gotten into it, so this one has been a miss for me as well, and also likely why I'm going to skip this set. I don't have any really sentimental attachment to it. So what's this going to do for the website itself? Is this going to offload some of the pressure on the Secret Lair website? If we find out when Amazon is releasing the non-foils, does that mean that there's going to be a lot less people trying to overall get access to the Secret Lair site on release, making for shorter queues and a little bit more availability for the product? Or is nobody going to chase after the non-foils because, as we've seen, the foils are the ones that are carrying that really high value in most cases? However, even Jaws in non-foil, as I mentioned before, but let me show the receipts, is $120 and is selling at that price point, even going above to $130, $129, $129. So people still want this even in non-foil. So what does that mean for the secondary market, and why does this matter? Well, I think the price fervor that the secondary market creates is like a feedback loop into the people who queue up for the Secret Lair. It's going to further inspire people who want to flip this for a profit to be a part of the Secret Lair, and not just people who like the IP and like Magic. The fact that WPN game stores, or your local game stores, are getting the non-foil versions of Secret Lairs to sell was a boon. That was a good thing to have, and it gave a little bit of comfort to people who didn't want to participate in the ridiculous FOMO cycle, who maybe work during the hours when these things release, and gave them some certainty that if they had a relationship with their local game store, or even had local game stores available to them, there's a chance they can get these products. but there is a vicious cycle there as well. Some local game stores, in order to avoid scalpers and to accommodate price demand, use secondary markets to inform some of their sale prices. So if you live somewhere where your LGS wasn't offering MSRP, you might find yourself paying excessive cost for the Jaws Secret Lair in non-foil just because people know Jaws itself is an $80 plus card. So now what does that mean when you now release these on Amazon? $39.99 for non-foil is the price point that they're supposed to be. Are they going to be $39.99 on Amazon? How many are available? What does this mean to the secondary market? And is this going to build trust with consumers or decrease trust with consumers? Now, I want to briefly discuss this topic, just a drop in the bucket. I want to see how people respond in the comments here because I'm debating doing a long form video about this very topic. Before even jumping into this conversation, I want to preface it by saying I'm trying to bridge gaps here and not widen them. So with that in mind, let's talk about this dichotomy. But I do think that there is a great irony and cognitive dissonance on display in the YouTube Magic community that's exemplified by the dichotomy between the Professor and Rudy from Alpha Investments. I think this dichotomy is a false dichotomy. It's often discussed as them as being two different sides of the same coin, right? Either there's the investment side of Magic the Gathering as a hobby that can be cool and interesting, but is also a store for value and an appreciating asset. And then there's people on the Tolarian Community College side of things, where it's just a game, it's about gameplay mechanics. The majority of the videos are about how well these cards work together, which ones are breaking standard, what's good for your 99 in Commander, and ways to actually play this game called Magic the Gathering. I can see why most treat this as it's two sides of the same coin, but I briefly want to posit, these aren't even the same currency. It appears to be the same coin because it's all about Magic the Gathering, but the way to interface with this hobby is so drastically different that one should not impact the other. So Rudy calls the people who just want to play games and want to see all reprints bring values to zero, all these kinds of things, make the secondary market collapse, as sort of the enemy and the danger of what WotC can lean into when you have that at the helm. Conversely, we've had clearly Wizards of the Coast pushing it way too far, trying to increase shareholder value by selling more IPs, having more ridiculous secret layers pop up that further support this higher price hype. You don't need to wait 2 years for the value to go up to $167 for a single card. All you gotta do is sign a licensing deal with some IP and boom, you get that same kind of impact overnight. Look at Final Fantasy. They were able to have their boxes double and triple in the mere matter of 2 months, where it took Lord of the Rings, again with an IP, over 2 years to get the value of $2,000 a box and reach those stratospheric levels. Now, the reason why I say these are unrelated is if you're actually part of the Tolarian Community College mindset, why does it matter if the card is authentic? Right? Let's just stop for a second and think about that. Why does it matter if the card is authentic? It's not like you want to play the new God of War on a PS5. You want to do that and get all the benefits and all the features of the new game. You're paying $100+ for the game itself. To unlock all the things you could do in the game, you need to have already purchased a PS5 for $350 to $600. You need to have a TV that's compatible to play it. If you want to have the good experience, you're going to want a 4K TV, maybe one that does 60 or 120 hertz. You're going to need HDMI cable, you're going to need a controller, an electric bill, a Wi-Fi bill. All these various and sundry things are required to experience the new God of War. Conversely, if you want to play Magic the Gathering, you can go screenshot this image, take it to your library, or go to Kinko's or Staples or wherever you want to go. You print out 9 of these per regular standard size page on some relatively hard cardstock. You cut it out yourself, you throw them into some sleeves, and suddenly you're getting the exact same gameplay experience as somebody who waited in line and got lucky enough to get the Secret Lair upon release, or dropped $38 for a single card, or dropped $140 just to have it shine a little bit better than yours will. But does that have any impact on the gameplay experience? The only context where it does would be in competitive play where authentic cards matter. I think the rise of cEDH, as shepherded in part by people like Play to Win, Dylan and Cam, there's something to be said about the idea that Magic is about the game. cEDH is a widely known to be proxy-friendly organization. Even many tournaments are proxy-friendly, and it makes sense because when you're playing a deck that has every dual land, that has a Gaia's Cradle, it is so absurdly expensive how could you ever get good at any single deck, let alone take the time to purchase all of that and feel like this is a hobby you can enjoy? It would require you to have obscene amounts of money. So by necessity, they have to be proxy friendly. But that exemplifies exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody is crying over the fact that a Guy's Cradle, because it's on the reserve list and it survived the 2002 restructuring of the reserve list, is still being something that won't be reprinted, is $925 for a heavy play, likely damaged version of this card. Yeah, the conversation in cEDH is, and oh my God, Guy's Cradle has gone up in value again. Oh my God, Guy's Cradle has gone from October 26th up to January 20th to $825. What's happening? No one's posting about that when they're talking about cEDH. You know why? I think it's because they care about the game. It's about the gameplay, and they actually treat the cards like game pieces. So much so that I've even heard discussion in cEDH circles that as soon as spoiler season comes out and they know certain cards are going to be available within the meta, most playgroups are okay with you printing out a version of that and playing it. I think cEDH has found the answer to this dichotomy, to this problem, and it might help reduce a bit of the fervor around Secret Lairs. I know I said this was going to be a short drop in the bucket to see if this is worth discussing, so I'm going to try and stop here. But what do you think in the comments below? Is the Tolarian Community College approach to how the game should be played and how the game pieces should be appraised and valued and looked at when compared to the way that people like Rudy and Alpha Investments commodify, trade, sell, and profit off of these pieces of cardboard? Should they even be in the same conversation? And of course, there needs to be a sale of these products at the register in order to inspire WotC to continue making new products and put in effort into new game design. So for me, for new sets, as you can tell from my channel, I will participate in that. I will support local game stores. I will keep buying new authentic products, but I don't believe that that means that I have to take a hard stance against proxies. I don't think that means I have to take a hard stance against people trying to invest in this, trying to find a way to make their hobby make money for them. I think the Magic the Gathering community is amazing, and I think a fracture between them because of this ridiculous secondary market and what might happen by having Amazon get involved as opposed to local game stores is a better distribution method, which is, by the way, already established. The product is designed, printed, and created and shipped to the LGSs, and they come out in release dates as anticipated. The pipeline is there. Integrating Secret Lair into LGS would not be complicated, but it certainly would not be as profitable for WotC, so that's why we're here. But this partnership with Amazon, if it's a one-off, fine. But if this is the beginning of steering the cruise ship just 1 degree to the west, steering the cruise ship just a little bit further as we march down this pathway, we might find ourselves in a new territory where Amazon becomes a primary distributor for all things Magic. I know they're already deeply involved in it, but I don't want to see them become even further entrenched in this game I love. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the video. I know we went to a lot of different topics here. It all stemmed from me clicking through the new Secret Lair and deciding, do I even want to talk about this? I don't watch the show. There's new mechanics here. We know the conversation about new mechanic cards and Secret Lairs. It's complicated, it stinks, but there are ways in which these things can be played without having to pay the obscene prices or queue up for 3 hours in order to acquire them. Just print it out, have fun, I don't know. I thank you for letting me spin my tires a little bit on this topic. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a good faith conversation. I love Magic, and I want all people who interface with it to find themselves better off tomorrow than they are today for having been part of the Magic the Gathering community. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this conversation? What do you think about this Secret Lair being available on Amazon as well as local game stores in the non-foil? What do you think about the ridiculous commodification of Secret Lairs in the secondary market because they've manufactured scarcity? What do you think about collectability versus playability? Do you think they're two sides of the same coin, or do you think they're actually two separate conversations entirely? Two separate currencies that should not even be intertwined with each other? And finally, as always, play paper Magic with your friends, be excellent to each other. I'll see you in the next one, and until next time, court is adjourned.